Hey, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com. Got a quick acoustic guitar recording tip for you. So, I've recorded lots and lots and lots of acoustic guitar, right? Hours and hours and hours of acoustic guitar. So I've got a pretty good idea, generally, of what it takes for me to get a good sounding acoustic guitar recording, specifically using the equipment I own and the guitars that I have. For example, the Taylor 314 that I've had for years, it's been on 2 of my albums and countless other recordings, so I've recorded it a lot, and I found kind of the magic combination of mic placement that works really well almost every time. What's interesting is last Christmas, my wife got me this. By the way, my wife is awesome. And this is a Gibson J45, and if you've ever played both or heard both, they're just very, versus the Taylor 314, it's almost a completely the opposite sound. It's a darker kind of, it's less bright, it's more full, and it's got a little more bite to it. It's not as clean sounding, so you can't tell from this. But so as I started to work on my latest album, I was using this guitar a lot because it's new and I like it. It sounds great. But I was using the same old mic techniques that I would use on my Taylor. And that usually for me was a small diaphragm condenser. So this is the small diaphragm condenser. And had that pointed right at around the 12th, 14th fret from about a foot away, maybe a little bit closer. And usually some combination of that, twisting the guitar a little bit, would give me the sound that I want. Now, what I noticed is I tried all sorts of combinations like that for this guitar, and they just didn't sound as good to me. There was a lot of low end, but a lot of extra brightness, which was surprising because this isn't necessarily a bright guitar. So the other day, I was doing a video for my VIP members, and it was where I was just playing and singing a song and had one microphone for both. And so the microphone was around right here, okay? And I turned my guitar, just the way I was sitting, I had my guitar like this, kind of angled to the side. And so later, I was going to record some acoustic guitar for a song, and I moved the mic down a little bit closer to the guitar, and I found myself sitting sideways listening. And suddenly it sounded awesome. It sounded like this guitar. It had fullness with not quite as much of that brightness that was coming off the pick, and it sounded amazing. And there was a guitar part I've been working on for a while now. I've re-recorded several times. It just wasn't quite right for me. And as it turns out, having the microphone up here, it was a large diaphragm condenser, and kind of facing the same area, but from way up here, it captured a whole different tone that I wasn't able to capture before, and I loved the sound that I got. Now, it picked up a little more squeak, fret noise and stuff like that, so I had to be more careful there, but it was such a different tone, it was completely worth it. And I accidentally came across that and found out, hey, that works well for this guitar. So the takeaway point for you is whatever you're recording, if you bring in a different one of those, so a different guitar, a different singer, a different snare drum, whatever it is, you kind of have to throw everything out the window and start over from scratch if you're not getting the sound that you want. So if you leave the mic in the same spot and it sounds amazing, great. No problem. But if you leave the mic in the same spot and it doesn't sound amazing, the next step is to completely re-mic the instrument. That could mean a different mic, or it could mean just different placement. But for me, miking it from up here, all around here wasn't working. It wasn't until I moved it over here that it gave me the sound that I wanted. And there's no intuition to it. I'm not a genius. I accidentally found that, and I'm glad I did. Now, that's a new mic technique for acoustic guitar that I'm going to use that has worked really well for me. So hopefully that can apply to you in the things that you record, even if it's not acoustic guitar. You can always try different distances and different angles to get different sounds out of the stuff you're recording. Hope that helps, and Merry Christmas.